So They Will Kill You was directed by Kirill Sokolov, which, if I'm mispronouncing that, I am sorry. And it stars Zazie Beetz, Patricia Arquette, Heather Graham, and Tom Felton. And in this movie, it's about a woman played by Zazie Beetz. She gets this job at this place known as the Virgil, which is this home to like a bunch of rich people and such. And then she soon learns that they must sacrifice their someone. They must sacrifice someone for various reasons and such. And she is chosen as a sacrifice. So she decides that she's going to fight back, and there may be more reasons as to why she's actually there. So this was a movie that I remember seeing the trailer for, and I was thinking to myself, isn't this just like Ready or Not? And I swear, I just saw Ready or Not too long ago. So it's like, why is this movie just kind of a rip off of Ready or Not? And so it's kind of weird. Like, why are they, especially considering it's coming out around the sequel to Ready or Not as well. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But I did get a chance to actually see this movie early. The movie opens on Friday. I just saw it at one of those mystery screenings. And honestly, this movie is a blast from beginning to end. This movie is pretty fun. It's pretty funny. And it's carried by Zazie Beetz very well. This movie is a movie that it's not really tracking to do well, but I do hope people give it a chance. So let's start off with the things I do like in this movie. First off, I think the acting is pretty good. Zazie Beetz as a lead character, I thought she did a great job. Not just her emotional scenes, but also her action scenes. I thought her character was very interesting. Tom Felton also kind of surprised me. Obviously, we know him from the Harry Potter movies and such, but at least he's kind of having a little bit of fun in this movie, and definitely more fun than he has been in some of his other movies, at least recently. Heather Graham also kind of surprised me too. I thought she was really cool in this movie. She doesn't really get a whole lot to do, but she makes the most of her screen time. Patterson Joseph has an interesting arc in this movie for his character, which I won't spoil, but it does kind of make things a lot more interesting when you find out like, what's going on, like how he kind of fits into the whole story. Patricia Arquette's also pretty good, but like her accent, I feel like it's gonna be one of those accents that's either gonna be laughed at or kind of just forgotten about. Like, when you hear it, you'll understand. But she does an all right as kind of like the main villain of the movie. I will say that if you're a fan of films directed by Quentin Tarantino and Sam Raimi, I think this movie is a perfect matchup of the two of them. There's definitely some moments where it's like, oh, this definitely feels like something that Tarantino would have made. And then there are some moments where it's like, oh, this definitely feels like a Sam Raimi movie at times. I saw it with my friend and he mentioned it felt a little bit like Edgar Wright too. And it's like, yeah, I can definitely see that. Kind of felt more like an Edgar Wright movie than The Running Man did, so there's that. But definitely a mixture of like all these different directors and all their different styles, and I thought it just worked overall. I do think that the movie has a lot of really fun action sequences. They are completely over the top and silly, and it's a completely campy movie. Like, don't go into this movie expecting something very serious. Go in expecting a really good time. And not to mention, it's also very funny. There are so many moments in this movie where it's like something happens and it's just really funny and over the top. And I was just kind of laughing. And it was just a real fun time overall. I will say that the movie actually goes into a lot of unpredictable stuff. That it's like, okay, when you find out like what's really happening, it comes off as a complete and total surprise. Like, very early on, you kind of think, oh, well, that's it? That's it for these people and such? So it's like, okay, well, I guess we'll move on, I guess. But then when you find out like how they're kind of configuring the whole story out, it's actually a lot more fun when you realize, oh, this is what's actually going on. I'm trying hard not to spoil this movie and such, but I will say it is pretty fun. And I will say that the look of the Virgil itself is also really cool. I do like the design of the actual building itself. There's some creativity there. I'm hoping that if I go back and watch this movie again, that I will see some details that I may have missed from the first viewing. It's like, okay, maybe that this movie has like some of these moments where it's like, oh, how did I not see that from the first time I saw this movie? And it's like, okay, so this will play into the movie later. I hope this movie has that. But I will say that even though I really enjoyed this movie as an action comedy, it's not really the best horror movie. If you're looking for a horror comedy, this is not really it. It's more of an action comedy. And there are definitely some horror aspects to it, but I think it's just mostly sidelined by the action comedy. So don't go in expecting something like, say, Shaun of the Dead, maybe something more like Hot Fuzz, if that makes sense. Okay, maybe not Hot Fuzz, because, like, maybe not those two movies per se, but, like, I'm talking genres. But I will say that this movie, it definitely works as an action comedy, maybe not so much as a horror comedy. Like, yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. Also, even though I said that this movie is pretty fun from beginning to end, there are definitely some periods where it's like it's not quite as fun. Like, they can't keep up the energy, and it's just completely, again, insane, silly, over the top and such. And I feel like they couldn't really capture that entirely. Like, there are some moments in the movie where it's like, okay, it's kind of drawn out a little bit, which is weird because this movie is only 90 minutes. But I do think that they make up for the most of it by the end of it. And also, there are some flashback sequences in this movie that just don't work. Now, when the movie does do flashbacks, it's like, okay, at least they have a moment for flashbacks, and at least they kind of present them differently. But some flashbacks, I feel like they just kind of force them in just to have flashbacks, and it's just kind of random to have those scenes in there. And most of the time, it's just for some random joke, and that just kind of didn't land. Like, you kind of see the one in the trailer, if you've seen the trailer, is like, where'd you learn to fight like that? And then it cuts to the scene in prison where she's fighting and such, and yeah, that's basically the scene in the movie, but it just wasn't funny then. It's not funny now. I feel like that was like the only main gripes I had about this movie, but I will say They Will Kill You. It's a lot of fun. When this movie does open up, this movie isn't really tracking to do well, but I hope this movie does do better than expected. This movie looks a lot of fun. This movie is a lot of fun, and I hope that, again, people actually give this movie a shot. So with They Will Kill You, I thought the actors did a really good job, particularly Zazie Beetz. I thought the blend of Quentin Tarantino, Sam Raimi were all really good. It's very fun. It's very funny. It's completely silly. It's insane. I've heard some people say, like, can you imagine Kill Bill meets Evil Dead? And it kind of does make a lot of sense when you really watch the movie and such. It is pretty unpredictable. The production values are really good. Also, the camera angles are also really good in this movie, too. And definitely kind of evokes, like, a sense of, like, a style of, like, movies from, like, the 80s that I felt like really worked for this movie. And even though I do feel like it's more of an action comedy than a horror comedy, I feel like the movie could have maybe had a little bit more horror, like they were trying to go for and such. And also, I do feel like that if they just kept with the energy throughout the entire movie, and also if they didn't really rely on flashbacks too much, this movie would definitely be one of my favorites. But right now, I'm just going to say it's a good time, and I hope people do check it out. I will give They Will Kill You 3 out of 4 stars. See it. So, what is your favorite action comedy or horror comedy? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.